going to say a few words about living with rare disease. If I can put it to a few words, I promise to try to keep it brief. Living with rare disease is parenthood, but parenthood on steroids. It's telling the difference between a fever and a cyclical fever. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to start it over for Sumerus. Living with rare disease. We're having technical difficulties. That's typical in our house. Are you ready? Nothing like making mommy nervous.
I got it.
They've got it. Can I go? Living with rare disease is parenthood, but parenthood on steroids. It's the difference between knowing a fever and a cyclical fever. It's knowing the difference. It's knowing when to head to the ER for flu. It's knowing when a bellyache is a full system backup. It's knowing when sleepiness has surpassed needing a nap to needing a neurologist. It's no longer yearly checkups, it's weekly ologist appointments. It's not just pulling the covers off your kid's head and yelling, "Get up," in the morning, but knowing when to give the "you can't sleep through life" pep talk. It's going from wishing you would pass at least one high school biology class to binge watching Science Kid to brush up on your science. Early on, doctors told us the bug symptoms were tied together in one syndrome, but what syndrome? The list of symptoms to tie together was long. Prolonged bleeding, farsightedness, strabismus, nystagmus, visual impairment, gut issues, asthma, weakness, ataxia, fatigue, fevers, rashes, joint pain, excessive sleepiness, eczema, ADHD, autism, and I'm sure I am missing many. There were hospitalizations, a trip to NIH, a few false positives for pretty scary known diseases. And after years of individual testings, it was time for the big test, the full genome sequencing. We were warned there may not be any worthwhile information, so we held our breath and we waited for results. And instead of no information, I like to say we got back alphabet soup. Instead of one all-encompassing disease, we got two. An autoinflammatory disease, Muckle-Wells syndrome, and a disease of his ATP1A3. Steve has one variant of Muckle-Wells syndrome, and I another. Two different mutations, same gene, one in a million chance. And somehow in this big crazy world, we found each other. And we both gave our variants to both. To have one form of this disease is rare. To have two forms, well, that's another story. Muckle-Wells causes is systemic inflammation, which in turn causes bugs, joint pain, rashes, gut issues, and fevers. The other disease is a bit more complicated. Bug has a mutation of his ATP1A3 gene, which is novel to him, the mutation, not the gene. As far as we know, he's the only one in the world with his mutation. They are just calling this disease a disease of his ATP1A3. This disease causes the ataxia, the fatigue, and many of bug's neurological and behavioral issues. It also is causing bug to have episodes of excessive sleepiness that last 24 to 48 hours every 2 weeks and a lowered seizure threshold. Originally, they did not expect this disease to be progressive. If it was, they expected it to affect him neurologically in terms of his intellectual abilities. Instead, making his legs tired, making walking long distances difficult, making getting through a school day without falling asleep nearly impossible. You'll have to excuse my science. Remember, I watch Sid to get my science. But, as I understand it, this gene is responsible for ATP and the sodium potassium pump. Energy in and out of cells, mighty important little gene to be malfunctioning and not know precisely how or why. We've been fortunate enough to work with a team of doctors in Boston and with the Mann Center for Orphan Diseases. We have had stem cells harvested, and we are in the process of finding out how impaired bug sodium, potassium pump, and ATP are. We're already garnering some very important information about the process, how he processes potassium. This research, hopefully, will lead us to a treatment that might work for bugs. The nice thing about the research is it can be tried in cells before we have to try it in bugs. The process is long, and we will see symptoms, and we are seeing symptoms in bugs long before we can see results in the lab. The research, however, hopefully will help other families. It is because of Ward and NIH that this type of research is available to families like ours. Living with rare disease is more than the doctors and the appointments and understanding the disease. More importantly, it's teaching our children how to live beyond the pain, the fatigue, and the fear. We live in a constant land of the unknown. As parents, it's our job to keep a balance, to keep life normal. We do not know what tomorrow might bring. It wasn't supposed to bring a lower seizure threshold or excessive sleep. He wasn't supposed to be asking me for a big boy wheelchair. As a parent, we have to harness fear and focus on today. Living with rare disease is teaching your child not to be defined by his disease. Making sure he reaches for the stars, sets goals, dreams big. Making sure he goes to school, gets an education, because he can't sleep through life. Most of all, it's learning from Bug's amazing spirit. He spent so much of his life hooked and prodded and in and out of doctors, but still walks up to Children's Hospital every time he goes with a super escape on. And if it is Friday, you may see him in a pair of scuba flippers. Yes, scuba flippers. For Flipper Flat Friday. With the cape on, of course. He's always planning his next lemonade stand or telling someone about Bug's bikes. Always plotting, always planning how he can give away another adaptive bicycle. He's always laughing. He's always smiling, always joking. If he doesn't pull you into his world, I dare say you haven't spent enough time with him. Living with rare disease means for us living with the resilient spirit of Bug. It means never giving up, constantly facing the unknown, and with great bravery